So here we have it all put back together, and we now have the rebuilt snubber unit on the switchboard. Everything's back in. I've just come back from a sort of 40-50 mile test drive, and the error seems to have disappeared. So the high voltage short circuit seems to have disappeared, so maybe it was the leaky snubber pack that I rebuilt. So I'll just talk you through what's been added at the moment. I still need to do the MCM switchable voltage hack. I haven't done that yet, but everything else is back in as it was before. So now we have, down here, we have the Meanwell power supply, and you can see there is still a good amount of room, at least a couple of centimetres between the Meanwell PSU and the switchboard. And I've also got that piece of acrylic on the Meanwell. Here we have the 70 amp switched PSU. I'm just checking the temperature. Actually, the Meanwell is stone cold. I've just got back from the trip, and the IPU is all nice and cold. So that's obviously been working correctly. I haven't heard the IPU fan at all, but what I have heard is the Meanwell fan, which unfortunately it's a bit like a Hoover. Obviously I haven't got it covered over at all at the moment, so if I wanted to disable that fan it would be a pain in the neck, because I've got to take all the MDM out to get to the Meanwell, so I'm not going to bother with that. So anyway, the 70 amp relay there disconnects the Meanwell from the 12 volt battery when the ignition is off. We also have a couple of extra connections here. We have this here. This is a charger connector. So when I build a grid charger, quite a high power grid charger, this is like a 30 plus amp charger connection point, which so I don't have to take the MDM or the battery out to get to the various connection points. I've also added some wires here, and this is a parallel connection for the pre-charge resistor, so if the contactor gives problems or doesn't charge up quickly enough, then I could add a second resistor across those wires here. So it's just to say, again, to save me from going down in there trying to connect on various things down in the gap there, which obviously less accessible now I've got the Meanwell in there. So it's all in and working, no IMA errors. I actually charged it up to, I've charged the pack up now fully to 245 volts. That's about just over 2.5 volts per cell, and it seemed to work very, very well. No problems to report at the moment.